Hi, this is my first video in the Zenap 6.5 training, and this is the first server, which is Windows 2012 R2. If you go to server, local server, then we'll see the complete details of this server. And I named it as DC1 because the first server in Zenap 6.5 implementation is domain controller. So I made it as DC1. In enterprise level, we will have multiple domain controllers. So those will be load balanced and it will serve multiple different roles. So in our lab, I'm doing Active Directory, DNS, DHCP on the same server. So the first step is I install one VM in VMware. There I install Windows 2012 R2 and the computer name renamed as DC1. And now I will promote this server to domain controller. Okay, so first of all, I'm adding roles. So just I'm adding domain service and DNS. DHCP also required if we are using PVS. PVS required DHCP, and but in our lab we are not using DHCP. But for future purpose, I am enabling DHCP role. So no need to touch any other services here. Just click next. And in features also nothing is there. By default group policy management, gpmc.msc, we will call it as, that will already enabled with the domain controller services. And remote server administration tools also enabled by default. And I'm clicking next. I haven't selected any feature here. So just I'm clicking next, and then install. So let it install. I will pause the video now. Once it is installed, I'll back. Now installation is completed. Just by clicking close. And here we will have installation. Now installation completed. So now we are going with post installation. So post deployment configuration. The first one is promote this server to a domain controller. So just I'm clicking this. So this wizard will come and add a new forest. I'm giving ctxlab.com as my root domain name. So ctxlab.com, that means citrixlab.com is my domain name. Just I'm clicking next. And forest function level, domain function level. This is very important. In many products, not only Citrix, either Exchange or SSEM, SCOM. So such products also require the domain controller functional levels or forest functional levels. So if you are going with Citrix Zenap ZenDesktop 7.17 or 15, so those require minimal function level as Windows 2012 R2. In earlier versions, 2008 R2 is mandatory. So now we are going with the latest, which we are using 2012 R2. So here the DSRM password we have to give. Just I am giving password. Then next will be enabled. So I'm clicking next and just going back. So domain naming system DNS server is also installing and configuring, and Global catalog server also we are configuring. What is DNS? Domain naming system. So it's giving as .com, that is domain name. Our domain is ctxlab.com, that is domain naming system. What is global catalog? Global catalog server contains the partial information of entire forest, entire domain. So we will let you know about this Active Directory components in detail in further videos, especially global catalog and FSMO roles. What are the 5 FSMO roles? Schema master, domain name master, like that, and DNS, DHCP. So I will show you one by one. So these are prerequisites for any Citrix XenApp version. So domain controller is mandatory, DNS server is required, DHCP is optional, and the other components like as I told FSMO roles all are mandatory, along with file servers are required, clusters. So based on the Active Directory, Citrix products will be built. So create DNS delegation, it's not required. And NetBIOS name, it will automatically will come. Yeah, CTX Lab is NetBIOS name. Click next. These are database folders where sysvol is enabled, sysvol folders and log file folders, database folders, NTDS will create in these folders. Click next and final check, final prerequisites check. Yeah, the prerequisites check is completed. Now we are clicking on next and install. So this will take some time. So let me pause the video. Now AD is installed and server is rebooting. Now server rebooted. We are going to log in. Server with CTX Lab administrator. I'm logging with CTX Lab as a domain and administrator as a user. I have logged into domain controller VM. So this is our first server in our XenApp 6.5 lab environment. Now we are going to local server in the server manager dashboard. There we can see the domain name and server name, IP address. For any domain controller, the server should require a static IP, and my IP is 192.168.2.6. Gateway is 2.1. Now we have domain. This is the domain controller. And still we can see the notification is DHCP. We'll configure later. It's not required at this moment. Now, the next server we are going to create is vCenter. I have VMware ESXi 6.5 and I need a vCenter to connect my ESXi 6.5. So here I'm going to home and create a new virtual machine. Just I'm showing you the same server image and product key and everything I will create later. I'm giving the VM name as vCenter 6.5 and click next. It's giving some error. Let me rectify. Just I have added one more folder. Now it's not giving anything. Just I'm adding one more core to my VM. and minimum 4 GB is required. For vCenter, it's required minimum 8 GB, but for Windows 2012 R2 OS, it's required 4 GB as minimum. That's we know. But I'm using VMware vCenter server, so it's required minimum 8 GB RAM. So I'm giving 8 GB RAM here, which is dynamic. And I'm using bridge networking, which will use the same physical network card to the same VM, and everything as usual as defaults I'm using. And it is asking 60 GB, and I'm giving a single file. That's fine. That's it. Finish. It will create a new VM. And one more time, I'm checking the settings. 8 GB RAM is required, and 2 processors is required. And here we have to enable virtualize Intel VTX mandatory. Otherwise, OS will hang some time later. And I have added ISO. Floppy is not required. I'm disconnecting. Network as connected power on, and bridge network I'm using. USB also I have connected. That's it. Now we can start VM, and ISO. With ISO it will boot, and we'll install Windows 2012 R2 in the same VM, and later we will install VMware vCenter 6.5. Let me pause video. I'll back once I added this VM to my domain ctxlab.com, and while installing vCenter, we'll start video again.